Welcome to this video on body fluids and circulation. In this video, we will learn about blood, plasma, blood cells, and blood groups. Blood is a vital fluid connective tissue responsible for transporting oxygen, nutrients, hormones, and waste materials throughout the body. It consists of a fluid matrix called plasma and form elements such as red blood cells or RBCs, white blood cells or WBCs, and platelets. These components play essential roles in sustaining life by maintaining homeostasis, immune defense, and gas exchange. Now, let's study plasma. Plasma is the liquid portion of blood, making up about 55% of its volume. It is a stroke-colored, slightly viscous fluid composed of 90 to 92% water, which acts as a solvent and medium for transport. It contains 6 to 8% proteins, including fibrinogen, involved in blood clotting, globulins, key players in immunity, and albumins, which maintain osmotic pressure and volume. It also includes inorganic salts and ions like sodium, calcium, magnesium, bicarbonate, and chloride, organic nutrients like glucose, amino acids, lipids, vitamins, and hormones. When clotting factors are removed, plasma is called serum. Next, let's study formed elements. These are the cellular components of blood, making up the remaining 45% of blood volume. It includes erythrocytes or RBCs, leukocytes or WBCs, and platelets. Let's study erythrocytes or RBCs. Produced in red bone marrow, RBCs are biconcave, enucleated cells in mammals. This maximizes surface area for gas exchange. They contain hemoglobin, a red, iron-rich protein that binds to oxygen and carbon dioxide. Their lifespan is about 120 days, and they are destroyed in the spleen, often referred to as the graveyard of RBCs. RBCs are the most numerous cells in blood, with about 5 to 5.5 million per cubic millimeter in healthy males. Hemoglobin levels typically range from 12 to 16 gram per 100 ml of blood. RBCs play a key role in respiratory gas transport and help regulate pH in the blood. Let's move to leukocytes or WBCs. Unlike RBCs, WBCs are nucleated and colorless as they lack hemoglobin. They provide defense and immunity against infections and foreign substances. Their count ranges from 6,000 to 8,000 per mm³ of blood. WBCs act as sentinels against infections and respond rapidly to pathogens. There are two main categories, granulocytes and agranulocytes. Let's now study types of WBCs. Neutrophils, making up 60 to 65%, are the most abundant and strongly phagocytic, that means they engulf and destroy pathogens. Eosinophils, about 2 to 3%, combat parasites and participate in allergic responses. Basophils, about 0.5 to 1%, release histamine, heparin, and serotonin, and mediate inflammation and hypersensitivity reactions. Monocytes, around 6 to 8%, are large, phagocytic cells that clean up cell debris and pathogens. Lymphocytes, making up 20 to 25%, include B lymphocytes, which produce antibodies, and T lymphocytes, which mediate cell-based immunity. Let's move to platelets or thrombocytes. Platelet count ranges from 150,000 to 350,000 per cubic millimeter of blood. Their average lifespan is 120 days. Platelets are cell fragments derived from large bone marrow cells called megakaryocytes. They play a vital role in hemostasis by initiating clot formation and contain substances that trigger coagulation cascades. A low platelet count can result in excessive bleeding and slow wound healing. Let's now study blood groups. But before we dive into the specifics, let's first discuss antigens and antibodies. Antigens are substances, typically proteins, found on the surface of cells, viruses, or bacteria that the immune system recognizes as foreign and can trigger an immune response. They act as triggers for the body's immune system to produce antibodies and launch an attack against them. Antibodies, also known as immunoglobulins, are Y-shaped proteins produced by the body's immune system to identify and neutralize foreign substances like bacteria and viruses. Let's start with ABO blood grouping. It is based on the presence of surface antigens A and B on RBCs. It determines compatibility for blood transfusions. The four blood groups are Group A, Group B, Group AB, and Group O. Starting with blood group A. People with blood group A have A antigens present on their red blood cells. In their plasma, they carry anti-B antibodies. This means they can safely donate blood to individuals with blood group A and blood group AB. And when it comes to receiving blood, they can take it from blood group A and blood group O. Now moving on to blood group B. Here, the red blood cells display B antigens. Their plasma, however, contains anti-A antibodies. These individuals can donate blood to people with blood group B and AB. And they can receive blood from blood group B and blood group O. Coming up next is blood group AB. This group is unique because their red blood cells have both A and B antigens. Interestingly, they don't have any antibodies in their plasma, no anti-A, no anti-B. They can donate blood only to others with blood group AB. But they can receive blood from all groups A, B, AB, and O, making them the universal recipients. And finally, blood group O. People with blood group O have no antigens on the surface of their red blood cells. However, their plasma contains both anti-A and anti-B antibodies. This setup allows them to donate blood to anyone, A, B, AB, or O, which is why they are known as the universal donors. But they can receive blood only from blood group O. Understanding these blood group compatibilities is essential, especially for life-saving blood transfusions and organ transplants. Next, let's study the Rh blood grouping. The Rh blood group is based on the presence of the Rh antigen, which is similar to one found in rhesus monkeys, hence the name Rh. The Rh antigen is observed on the surface of the red blood cells of the majority of humans, nearly 80%. Individuals with the Rh antigen are called Rh positive, while those without it are called Rh negative. An Rh negative person, if exposed to Rh positive blood, will form specific antibodies against the Rh antigens. Therefore, the Rh group must also be matched before blood transfusions to prevent complications. Now, let's talk about erythroblastosis fetalis. This condition occurs when there is Rh incompatibility or mismatching between the Rh negative mother and the Rh positive fetus. During the first pregnancy, there is no risk because the maternal and fetal blood are separated by the placenta. However, during delivery, small amounts of Rh positive fetal blood may enter the maternal circulation. As a result, the mother may start producing antibodies against the Rh antigen. In subsequent pregnancies, these antibodies can cross the placenta and attack the RBCs of the Rh positive fetus. This can lead to serious consequences such as fetal death, anemia, or jaundice. This condition is known as erythroblastosis fetalis. The condition can be prevented by administering anti-Rh antibodies to the mother immediately after the first delivery, which prevents the formation of antibodies against Rh antigens. We hope that you have understood the topic. You can now study chapter notes, watch video lectures and solve MCQ tests of this chapter on EduRev to ensure you score well in your exams. And that's not all. You also get amazing courses for maths, science, English, Hindi, and much more for NEET. Thank you.